ask you another question about the mentoring training that you do and the mentoring practices. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some of the skills and principles that are in your practices as a mentor.
I think one of the things that's really important when we start talking about mentoring is understanding that it is not complicated. It's very easy to feel ill-equipped or unprepared to enter into a mentoring relationship as the mentor. And I think that it's important for us to know that it's just simply not complicated. It's about sharing life. It's not about being perfect or living life perfectly and expecting someone to model every single thing that you do. It's really just about having people in our lives who are further in the journey than we are to take us by the hand and walk us through the twists and turns and the ups and downs of that journey.
I really like the way you said that. It's not complicated, and all you have to be is a few steps ahead in the journey. I meet people who have a lot of fear about mentoring. They're afraid they're going to mess somebody's life up. Mm-hmm. Have you encountered that? And if you do, what would you say to somebody who has that fear?
Yes. If you're feeling afraid, then you should probably be a mentor. I think that fear is natural. When Becca and I started meeting when I was young, we didn't have a formal agreement of, you're going to be my mentor, I'm going to be mentored by you. It was a very organic, natural relationship that was very intentional. And I think that's a key with mentoring, is it has to be very intentional, but we shouldn't let the title scare us away. It's a very natural thing to have intentional relationships with people. God designed us that way. And so I think it's critical that we not be afraid of that, and that we not feel the pressure to be perfect, because then who would be qualified to be a mentor?
Right. Tell me another story about somebody who's been impacted by mentoring.
I think my husband is one of my favorite stories. At a young age, a gentleman and his wife entered my husband's life, and he had the opportunity to live with them for several years. And the gentleman's name in particular was Sam. And Sam poured into my husband, taught him a lot about what it looks like to be a man, about how to be kind and generous, and how to take care of a household, and kind of filled a role of a father in my husband's life. And I reap the benefits of that every day because of the husband that he is and the father that he is to our daughter. And I know that David's life was drastically impacted by Sam and his wife taking him into their home and mentoring him through some critical years of his life.
Yeah, there's a romantic myth out there that somebody else is going to complete you and everything. We're all going to live happily ever after. And it's just not true, is it?
No.
I think that we're looking for something that is a complement. Couples should complement each other, not complete. Because only Christ can complete.
Oh, I love that, how you rephrase that and reframe that, because that changes everything.
Sure does. It takes a lot of pressure off the spouse who is flawed, and you have to remember that you're flawed as well.
So, Cindy, tell me a story about somebody who's been impacted by mentoring.
I had a young lady that came to me. She was a Baptist preacher's daughter, and she married a guy that was a brand new Christian and expected that man to be like her dad from day one.
Oh, wow.
And he wasn't.
Expectations again.
Yes, he wasn't, and she was telling it was terrible. She was telling all her single friends, don't get married, it's too painful. Men cannot live up to your expectations. And so I started meeting with her every Friday. Every Friday we went through the Power of a Praying Wife. I would talk to her and try to get her to focus on the things that her husband did that were right instead of focusing on the things that were irritating her. And the year went by, and she went on her way, and I wasn't sure I'd made any impact at all. About a year later, I saw her in the hall at church, and she gave me the biggest hug I'd ever had. And it was a day that I was feeling like the ministry that we did is kind of stupid. Nobody's coming to the Lord. It's just like we're just talking to people about their problems. And then she hugged me, and she said, don't ever think what you do doesn't make an impact. My marriage is awesome, and a lot of it has to do with you just taking the time and listening to me. I really didn't give her a lot of wisdom. It was just giving her time. Giving her time.